solving system of linear equations by substitution. That means I literally have to substitute something in for something. If you remember, on a side note a little bit, let's look in here. If I was to give you an equation, y equals 2x plus 1, and I told you that x is equals to 2. Your job before was, well, you know what x is, right? So you were supposed to substitute the x in for the x. Well, x equals 2. So everywhere I saw x in the equation, I was substituting that x with 2. So then when y equals 2 times the x, when we use parentheses now for multiplication, plus 1, 2 times 2, right, multiply first, was 4 plus 1, and y was equal to 5. The same principle applies to this. Let's look at it. I have two equations. Equation 1 is telling me what is y equal to. Equation 1 says y is equal to 2x minus 4. So that variable is already solved, right? It is not equal to number yet, but it's telling me what y is. So I'm going to use this knowledge, and I'm going to substitute that y for this y in the other equation. Why am I doing this? Because I cannot solve an equation with two different variables and get a number. However, if I have just one variable, right, if I get rid of the y and plug in the x, right, variable, then I can figure out what x is actually equal to. So first equation is telling me y is 2x minus 4. So I will replace that y with what is actually equal to. And that way I will eliminate one variable and solve for x. So let's see what I'm talking about and what I'm actually what I'm actually going to be doing. So I'm going to take this equation. 7x minus 2 times y, right, equals 5. Well, I know what y is equal to. It's telling me in here, right? So what we are doing is we will replace that y with what it's equal to. The y is equal to 2x minus 4. I took this y, substituted it in, right? Because y is 2x minus 4. Now, what is between the 2 and a parentheses? Multiplication. So I'm going to apply distributive property because the 2 is multiplying everything inside the parentheses, correct? So let's do that. I still have the 7x. Now I have negative 2. Remember that 2 is negative. There's minus in front of it, right? Negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8 equals 5. If I was to cover this side of the equal sign and I just look over here, there's a couple things I can combine. And they're not going to the other side, right? They are not going to the other side. So they're sticking over here. So what can I combine? The 7x minus 4x. So as long as they're staying the same side, I just do exactly what I see. 7x minus 4x is 3x. I still have the plus 8 equals 5. Now I know I have to solve for the x. Now there's a multiplication between the 3 and the x, right? So I'm going to kind of isolate my variable. And I know multiplication is the last thing I'm going to be undoing, so I'm going to isolate the whole thing. I know do not touch the 3, do not touch the x. So what do I have to do? Well, the 8 wants to go to the other side. When I go from left to right or from right to left, I have to do the opposite of what the number is or the variable. Opposite of plus 8 is minus 8. So I have to subtract 8 actually from both sides of the equal sign. What am I left with? I still have the 3x. 8 minus 8 is 0. I have the equal sign. And 5 minus 8 is negative 3. I'm solving for the x. So what do I have to do? 3 times x. Opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Remember, this 3 is going to the other side, so do the opposite of what you see between the number and a variable. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with 1x equals negative 3 divided by positive 3 is negative 1. What did I solve for? I solved for x. Well, if you look though, both of those equations do have x, but they also have y. So now I have to solve for y. And what I love is that the first equation is telling me y is equal to 2x minus 4. Well, do I know what x is? Yes, I do. So I can solve it. So let's rewrite it. Y equals 2 times x minus 4. And since I know what x is, I'm going to take it and I'm going to substitute it in there, right? So let's do it. Y equals 2 times x, and what is x? Negative 1, right? Minus 4. And then I'm going to go multiply first, right? Remember, we replaced the x. Now, multiply first. 2 times negative 1 is, oopsies, y equals negative 2 minus 4. And negative 2 minus 4 equals negative 6. And there is my answer. So the solution to the system of the linear equation, you can either write this way, x is negative 1, y is negative 6, or you can give it to me as an ordered pair. I don't care. Negative 1, negative 6. Thumbs up.